Hi there, I'm Cath. Welcome to my channel made by Cathcraft. Thank you very much for joining me today for another one of my videos. And if you're new to my channel, then welcome and thank you very much for stopping by. On my channel, I love to talk about all things sewing related, especially dressmaking, and I sometimes throw a bit of knitting in too. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I've been making in February. So I've got a bit of a variety of makes to share with you, and I'm really looking forward to chatting them through. But before I start talking about what I've been making in February, I thought I'd mention if you have watched my channel before, you'll notice I'm not filming in the same place as I usually do. I usually film in our front room because it's nice and light in there. But this week our neighbours are having their drive resurfaced, so it's been quite noisy. They've got a little mini digger, it's all going on across the road. So I thought I'd pop in here to the back of our house where it's a bit more peaceful. I thought it'd be a better place to film. And I'm sitting at the moment at our dining table, which also doubles up as my sewing table. So that is where I am today. And it's a very grey day outside, so it's a nice day to be inside and talking about some sewing. So I'll get started with sharing what I've been making. And I usually start these videos by sharing what I'm wearing, but today I'm wearing one of the makes I'm going to be talking about in this video. So I'll come to it a little bit later, and I'll kick off with my first make. So my first make I've got to share with you for February, I think might be my favourite thing that I've sewn this month. And I made it using a fibre mood pattern, and it was my first time using a fibre mood pattern. So Fibre Mood, I followed them on Instagram for a while. I really like their style, and they release their patterns in magazines, and they usually release their magazines with about 12 patterns included, and it's a mix of mostly women's wear, but also some children's wear patterns too. And then they released last year their edition number 16, and there are a few patterns there that really caught my eye and I thought I'd definitely like to make, so I thought it'd be a good time to get the magazine and give some of their patterns a try. So I'll show you all the line drawings of the patterns I got in my edition of Fibre Mood 16. You get a whole mixture of patterns. Here they are. It's like a skirt and a blouse, and these two down here are the children's wear patterns. There's a sweatshirt too. And the pattern I made this month is this one here, which is their Irma body warmer. And it's a really nice kind of quite straight fit body warmer, and then you sort of tie it up with a tie waist. It's got patch pockets, and it's got this optional sort of adding these extra almost sort of wings on the shoulders to add an extra feature. And you can make it in quilted fabric like shown in the line drawing, but you don't have to use quilted fabric. And I really love the look of it, particularly when I saw the sort of promotional shot for it, which is this one here. I just thought it was really lovely style to it. You can see here that this detail is like a bias bound edge as well, which is quite pretty. And yeah, I just thought it looked really great in the quilted fabric too, so I really wanted to give that a go. It's also got a really good size range, the Irma. It goes up to a bust of 58 inches, so yeah, really great size range. And I decided to make mine in a Merchant & Mills cotton jacquard fabric. And this is my second time sewing with a Merchant & Mills cotton jacquard fabric. Late last year, I made the Hovea jacket by Megan Nielsen Patterns in a kind of pinky coloured Merchant & Mills cotton jacquard, and I really enjoyed sewing with it. Such squishy, nice fabric to sew with and to wear. So I thought I'd like to give some more of that fabric a go. So the fabric I chose for my body warmer was this really lovely blue coloured cotton jacquard in their diamond sort of print shape. They have two different cotton jacquards, one in the square print and one with a diamond on too. And this colourway I think is called Ahoy. It's this really pretty blue colour. I got it from Minerva, and I also got this lining fabric from Minerva too. So I decided to line my Irma body warmer. The pattern isn't designed to be lined, so I had to kind of do it myself, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But first of all, I'll share the sizing I used. So I used the extra small sizing. I think my measurements fell just at the top of the extra small bracket, but when I had to look at the finished garment measurements, and also from reading about other people's experience of sewing the pattern, it seemed to come up on the oversized side. So I thought I'd be fine going with the extra small and not thinking about grading out at all for my hips, which I think were the ones that were just right on the edge of the extra small size. And it came out perfectly fine in that size. So one thing to note about Fibre Mood patterns, which I wasn't aware of until I bought it and started looking at all the instructions, is that when you buy the paper patterns in the magazine, they come without seam allowances added. So when I traced the patterns out, I then had to add the seam allowances. So I had to do it slightly differently. The magazine does tell you where you need to add the seam allowances, and it kind of leads you through how to do it, so it doesn't kind of leave you on your own to figure it out. But I had to do it slightly differently because I was making my lined version. So with the pattern, if you're making it unlined, you don't need to add a seam allowance down this front bit because you're just adding bias binding to finish it, so no amount is being taken out by seam. but I added a seam allowance down this front bit too because I knew I was going to be sewing it to my lining fabric, so I needed to add a few extra seam allowances, so it just required a little bit more thought to figure out what I was doing to make sure I did add the seam allowance whatever I needed. But yeah, I even added I added the lining to the pocket too, so you can see I had a little facing at the top of the pocket, and then further down the pocket is lined. And the lining fabric I used is a really lovely flannel fabric. It's an art gallery flannel fabric that I also got from Minerva, and I was really happy with the colour match when it arrived because I think it worked really well with the Hoy cotton fabric, being that just that little shade dark, deeper blue. It's a really lovely, nice, cosy fabric to sew with, and it makes this body warmer a little bit more cosy. So I'm really pleased I added a lining. You can see I added a little clothes hook here too, just in some leftover fabric in my stash, a little cotton lawn, because I didn't want to use either the flannel or the jacquard for this hanging loop, because I thought it might end up a bit bulky. But I'm really happy with how it came out. I added the patch pockets on. I tried to kind of do some sort of pattern matching there, so they sort of, yeah, match the sort of square fabric behind. I've got my belt here too to fasten around the middle. And I just really love it. It's a really comfy, relaxed one to wear. And I'll put a picture up so you can see what it looks like on. Yeah, it's a really fun sew actually, and I enjoyed figuring out how to add the lining. I'm not sure that the way I added the lining was the best way to do it. It was kind of a bit sort of trial and error, and I ended up sort of bagging it inside out through a hole at the bottom here, and then stitching that little end final bit with hand stitching, sort of slip stitching at the bottom. Yeah, I really love it actually, and I think I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this one now that the weather is heading towards spring. A couple of things I thought I'd mention about this make is, firstly, if you're interested in sewing with this Merchant Mills cotton jacquard fabric, it's really lovely fabric. It looks like it's quilted, but it's actually made up of lots of layers of cotton threads all sort of squished together. So when you cut it, the threads do try to escape. So I definitely recommend if you're working with it, once you've cut it, you overlock all the edges straight away to stop the cotton threads trying to escape, and then it makes it easier to sew with when you do get onto sewing with it, and it behaves better. And the other thing is, the 5 mood instructions are included in the magazine, but they are on the brief side. But if you go onto the 5 mood website and you create your own account, you then gain access to their more detailed instructions. So it's really worthwhile doing that, because the instructions in the book are just a little bit on the sparse side, and the ones on the website are definitely more detailed, so I definitely recommend doing that. But yeah, that is my first make of the month. I was kind of quite pleased with myself for giving lining a go, because I've lined a couple of garments before, but it's always been using pattern instructions. So it's quite fun to figure out how I could do it myself. And I'm really happy with how it's turned out. And I think it's going to be a garment I'm going to be getting a lot of wear out of. So that was my first make for February. Oh, and I thought I'd mention, as ever, for all the fabrics and patterns that I mentioned in this video, I'll try and link them all wherever possible and where they're available down below in the description, just in case you're interested in any of them. But anyway, now I'll move on to my second make for February. So my next make I've got to share with you for February is another make I made using a new to me pattern, and this time I made a piece of loungewear, a pair of jogging bottoms, and I made them using this pattern here, which is the Plateau Joggers pattern by Closet Core Patterns. And Closet Core Patterns released this as part of their Montreal loungewear set, which also includes a sweatshirt, the Mile End sweatshirt, which I'm going to be talking about later in this video. But I was really interested to try out this pattern. I've always made the same pattern for joggers before, which is the True Bias Hudson pants, and I really love that pattern. But I was really curious to try out a different joggers pattern and see how it compared to the Hudson pants. And I thought this looked like a really nice one to go for. I'll show you the line drawings. So these joggers come as a jogger version and also a shorts version. They've got an elasticated waist, and you can add a cord at the front. You can add patch pockets on the back, and they've also got these pockets at the front with this really cool sort of wraparound detail, which I'll show you on my joggers in a moment. And then they look like they're slightly less sort of close fitting than the Hudson pants, and they've got 2 finishes for the cuffs, either a standard sort of ribbed cuff, or you can add an elasticated cuff on too. So yeah, just slight differences to the Hudson pants. I was keen to try them out and see how the fit sort of varied from the Hudson pants and see how I got on with them. And they've got a really good size range as well. And this pattern, I've got the paper pattern, which goes from a US size 0 to a size 20. But there's also a PDF version available in a size 14 to 32. So really inclusive size range on this one. And I was really keen to give them a try. And I decided to make my version to match a Mile End sweatshirt I'd made. So I got the same colour of fabric and decided to make a matching loungewear set. And I got this really pretty lilac coloured sweatshirt fabric. It's a fleece back sweatshirt fabric from Mind the Maker. I got it from Minerva. They also have matching ribbing. I really like the Mind the Maker fleece back sweatshirting fabric because they have ribbing available in all the same matching colours, which is quite cool, I think. So I got them both from Minerva, and I'll show you the fabric. It's really really fleecy and cozy. It's not the stretchiest of fabric, I think, because it is quite a substantial fleece back fabric. But yeah, really, really snuggly. And I really like the lilac colourway. I haven't made a lot of things in lilac, but I made the sweatshirt and I've worn it loads. And I thought it'd be quite fun to have some matching joggers. So this is my pair of joggers. In terms of sizing, I had a read of the pattern recommendations for sizing, and Closet Core recommend if you go by your hips measurement for this pattern, and then if your waist measurement is within a couple of sizes of your hips measurement, just go with the straight hips measurement, because you should be able to adjust the waist based on the elastic length anyway, so the waist measurement isn't as critical. So I decided to go for the size 8 based on the hips measurement. So the hips measurement for size 8 is 37 inches and my hips are 36 inches, which puts me at a size 6. But I thought with this fabric being not very stretchy and I didn't want them to be too tight, I thought I'd just size up one size just to give me enough room so they didn't feel too fitted. And I'm quite happy with how the sizings come out. So a really fun make. I decided not to add on the cord at the front because I wasn't sure I'd be able to get any cord that matched this pretty lilac colour. And I'll show you the really pretty pocket detail. You can see here there's no seam here above the pocket because it kind of is hidden in your pocket, and it comes together really cleverly. The instructions are really good and they really walk you through how to add this sort of pocket detail on. And they even add on little, say you have to add on a little bar tack or a little stitch here to kind of hold it down and stitch it in place. You can do some top stitching on the pocket, which I've done. So it's quite a fun make with some interesting details for a jogger pattern. And then I used the ribbing fabric for the waistband because I thought it might get quite bulky once the fleece back sweatshirting was gathered in with the elastic. So I used the ribbing for the waistband. And I also decided to go for the ribbing for the cuffs too, again, because I thought the fabric might get quite bulky if I use the elastic cuff version. So yeah, these are my joggers. And they're a really fun sew actually. I really like Closet Core instructions and I feel there are loads of interesting details in this pattern that makes them a really fun sew. I did make a few adjustments when I was making this pattern. First of all, when I traced out the pattern piece, I compared them to the Hudson pants and the rise didn't look like it came up that much higher. I thought based on the pattern, it looked like there was slightly higher rise and more higher waisted jogging bottom option, but they didn't look like they were coming up so much higher. So I increased the rise and the crotch by about an inch just to bring them up to my natural waist because I wanted to make them into a pair of high rise joggers and just have something a bit different to my Hudson pants, which fall more around the just somewhere between the waist and the hips level. So I added an inch there just to make them a little bit more deeper in the crotch and make them a little higher rise. I also lengthened the leg. I think I lengthened the leg by about 4 centimetres in the end because it looked like they were going to come a bit short. So yeah, I'm glad I did make that lengthening adjustment. So it's definitely worth comparing them to your leg before you do cut these ones and making sure you've got enough length and adding a bit more on the bottom just in case, because I figure you can always take a bit off, but you can't always add a bit extra on. So those are the adjustments I made. And in terms of how I found them compared to the Hudson pants, well, I think the rise would come up slightly higher than the Hudson pants. They're a slightly higher rise jogger option. And definitely in terms of the actual leg, there's more room in the leg. It's definitely a slightly more looser fit, relaxed fit jogger, less tightly fit. And also the cuffs at the bottom are again a bit looser fit and a bit sort of less of a feature cuff. The Hudson pants has a bit more of a deeper ankle cuff and a bit tighter, and these ones are a bit loose and a bit shorter. So they work really well in this fleecy fabric that gives them a bit more of a relaxed, cozy sort of, slightly more oversized feel, I guess, but not really, really oversized. But I'll put a picture up so you can see how they look on. I really like them. They're really nice and cozy. I love that pretty sort of wraparound pocket detail, and they're a fun make. So I think I definitely make them again. And I think they do serve a slightly different purpose to the Hudson pants, which are more fitted, maybe fashion pant, and these ones are a bit more of a relaxed kind of loungewear style jogger. That's what I'd say. But yeah, a really fun pattern to make. My next make for February is another one I made using a new pattern to me. So I tried quite a few new patterns this month, which has been quite a lot of fun. And this is a t-shirt pattern and it's by French Navy. And I really like the pattern company French Navy. I really like their style and I find their clothes really wearable. I've made another one of their t-shirt patterns before, which is their Free Stellanti, and I've made 2 of their dress patterns, and they're all garments I reach for quite a lot, so I was keen to try another one of their patterns. And I put this pattern on my Make 9, which is 9 patterns I wanted to sew this year, and it is their Stair Tee, and I'll show you the line drawings. I thought it'd be a really great sort of wardrobe staple type of t-shirt that you could throw on with a pair of jeans. It's got quite a boxy, straight fit. And then it's got grown on sleeves with these cuffs for the short sleeve version, or you can add on a long sleeve version. It's got an optional patch pocket, it's got a crew neck, and it's got quite a pretty hem detail. You've got this sort of split hem at the bottom. So I thought it'd be quite a fun one to try and quite hopefully something I could get quite a lot of use out of in my wardrobe. In terms of sizing, French Navy don't have the biggest size range on their patterns, which is a shame, but they go from a size A, which is a bust of 32 inches, up to a size H, which is a bust of 43 inches. And in terms of recommendations for fabric for this pattern, it recommends knit fabrics, but nothing too drapey. So I've been looking through my fabric stash early this year. I was planning to make some knickers, and if you want to see more about the knickers I sewed, I talk all about them in my January makes video, which I'll link. But I found in my stash a few larger pieces of jersey fabric, and I thought it would make a great Astaire tee. I found one fabric I really wanted to make into an Astaire tee, which is an ice cream print fabric. And I thought it was really nice, so I didn't want to risk cutting into it in case the t-shirt didn't work out. So I thought I'd try it in a twirl fabric, which I also found in my stash, which I wasn't as fussed about. And it's quite a cute fabric still. This one here, it's a cotton jersey fabric that I got quite a long time ago from Stoff and Still, who I think are now called Self-Made. I'll link their website down below. I had a look and they don't have this fabric in stock anymore, but they do have some other nice jersey fabrics. And I made originally a top for my mum in this because she likes Dalmatians. It's got a black base and these Dalmatian doggies on it, so it's quite cute. So I thought I'd give the Astaire tee a go in this fabric. And I didn't have quite enough to squeeze out the neckband or the cuffs, so I decided to have a bit of fun and use some leftover black jersey from my stash as well to make the cuffs and the collar, and I also added on a patch pocket in the black too. That'll make a nice little statement. So yeah, this is my Astaire tee, and it was a lot of fun to sew actually. In terms of sizing, based on my measurements, it looked like my bust would fit the size A, but the hips, it looked like from the finished garment measurements, would come a bit tight on me in the size A. So I decided to grade out to a size B at the hips, and I'm glad I did because there isn't so much room at the hips on this t-shirt, so definitely worth grading out. And I also lengthened it by 1 inch, just to make it a bit longer so it wouldn't sort of come over the top of my jeans. And I thought I'd maybe be able to tuck it in at the front a little bit. But I think if I made it again, I might go a bit shorter and make it more of a cropped boxy tee. But I really like how it came out. It was a nice sew. I like the little split hem detail, which you can see. Where is it? Here. It's quite a nice little detail at the bottom, I think. And I like the cuffs too, and they're grown on sleeves. I think that's quite a nice shape. I find with the French Navy Stellanti, their free t-shirt pattern, the sleeve seam sort of sits here on me and it ends up giving my shoulders a bit more of a square look, but I like the feel of the grown on sleeves that just drapes across my shoulders nicely. So yeah, it was a fun sew actually, and I'll put a picture up of me wearing it. So I enjoyed sewing it. It was quite a quick, simple sew. The instructions on French Navy patterns I find are always really good. I now need to actually have a look at the ice cream fabric I've got and see if I've got enough to be able to fit the pattern piece onto there so I can make an ice cream version for summer. But I'm not in too much of a hurry to do that because it's going to be quite a summery t-shirt and the weather's still quite grey outside, so I'm not so much thinking of summer sewing quite yet. But yeah, that's the Astaire tee by French Navy, and I do quite like my toile version. I'm definitely going to be wearing this one. My next make I've got to share with you for this month is something I made for my son, and it's a set of pyjamas for him that I made using a couple of free children's wear patterns and some really cool fabric. So I find it quite hard to find fabrics my son likes. My daughter is quite easy to buy for. She loves anything pink or with unicorns or kittens and that sort of thing. And there are quite a few nice jersey fabrics out there with that sort of thing on, I find. But my son is a bit more tricky to buy for. But we found this really cool Where's Wally fabric a while ago on Minerva. And they had it in a whole different range of designs based on different Where's Wally pictures from the books. And I'd originally made him quite a long time ago a t-shirt out of it. And then when we were looking at scraps for pants and knickers and that sort of thing, we found there was enough there just about to squeeze out a set of pyjama bottoms for him. So I made him a little set of pyjama bottoms, and here they are in this really cool Where's Wally green fabric. So you can see there's lots of detail on there. You can find Wally and some other characters. It's quite a lot of fun. And I made him these pyjama bottoms using a free pattern that is the Walk the Plank pyjama bottoms by Patterns for Pirates. And it's a really nice free pattern. It's actually available as both an adult version and a children's version. I'll link the children's version down below. It's just a basic simple pair of elasticated top pyjama bottoms. It's designed to be made for woven fabrics, but I've made it in this cotton jersey stretch fabric and it works just fine. It's a really simple sew. The elastic waistband goes in really easily. You basically sew it onto the fabric and then turn it under and sew it on again. So it comes together really nicely. And you can make them either as a sort of shorty version or a knee length version or a full sort of length version. So a few different options. So I was really pleased to be able to squeeze this pair out for my son. And he was so pleased with them. He said, can we have a look on Minerva's website and see if any of the other Where's Wally prints are still in stock? So we found out that they were still in stock, and I'll link them below. They're a lot of fun. And we decided to make another pair of pyjamas in this really cool Space Where's Wally fabric. So you can see it's got all sorts of fun space details, like all these aliens sitting on this Saturn's ring and rockets and all sorts of fun things. So I made another pair of the pyjama shorts here, and I also made a matching t-shirt, so he's got a full set of pyjamas in this space print fabric. And I even managed to squeeze out the fabric one more t-shirt, because he said to me, could he have one to wear in the day just with joggers and things too. So he's got 2 t-shirts and the shorts. So again, the shorts I made using the Walk the Plank pyjama bottoms pattern. I thought I'd mention on the pattern, I found the sizing on the Walk the Plank pyjama shorts to be quite generous. My son is 8, and when we did his measurements, he came out as an age 6 on them. And I thought maybe once we sewed them up, they might end up coming up a bit small, but actually that just fit him just right. But interestingly, the t-shirt pattern I used, another free kids pattern, which is the ABB kids pattern. Here it is. This is a t-shirt pattern I use, another free pattern. It's the Kids ABBT by DIBY Club. And again, this pattern is available for children. There's also an adults version too, again for free. It's a great little t-shirt pattern and just quite a simple crew neck. You can add an optional patch pocket, quite a straight shape. There's also a slim fit version too. But when we had a look at my son's measurements and sizing on that one, he came out as a size 10 regular rather than slim fit, and that fits him really well. So it seems funny that he's a size 6 on the pyjama shorts and a size 10 or an age 10 on the t-shirt, but definitely goes to show it's good to measure and check to the sizing rather than just going on their age. And the t-shirts came out really nicely. He wanted the little patch pocket added on, so I've done one here with a little alien spaceship, and then for his one to wear in the day, he asked for Wally to be on there, so you can see Wally's there on his patch pocket for the daytime. And it was a lot of fun sewing them up, and they came together really quickly. And I'll put a picture up. I've got a picture of my son wearing the t-shirt with a pair of joggers. I haven't got a picture of him wearing the pyjama set, but I'll put a picture up of the pyjama set on a flat lay so you can see that too. I'm really pleased how they all came together. It's a lot of fun, and I love this print actually. I'm quite tempted to have a sleep set for myself in this Where's Wally's Brace print too. So that's what I've sewed for my son this month. So like I mentioned before, I'll link both of those patterns down below, as well as the Where's Wally fabric. They're both really great free patterns actually, and the instructions that come with them are really comprehensive, which I always think is so nice on a free pattern. And one other thing I really like about the Walk the Plank pyjama shorts that I thought I'd mention is it's a really easy one to trace and cut out, because there's only one pattern piece which you have to cut out 2 of, because the shorts are made with 1 piece for each leg, so there's no outer seam. You just cut out 1 wraparound piece for each leg. So it's the quickest pattern ever to trace and really quick to cut out too, which is always a bonus. So yeah, that's what I made for my son this month, and he's been wearing that pyjama set loads, and he's been wearing his t-shirt as well in the day loads too, so I'm really happy he likes them. So my next make I've got to share with you for February is what I'm wearing today, and it's a sweatshirt I made using a pattern I mentioned earlier in the video, which is this pattern here. It's the Mile End sweatshirt pattern by Closet Core Patterns, and Closet Core released this pattern as part of their Montreal collection along with the Plateau Joggers pattern. And just like the Plateau Joggers pattern, this sweatshirt pattern's got some really interesting details to it. So I didn't really need another sweatshirt pattern when I got this, but I really love the look of it, and I'm really glad I did get it, because I've got so much wear out of my first version, and I'm really enjoying wearing this one, my second version too. But I'll show you the line drawings. It's quite a relaxed fit, boxy sweatshirt. It's got a dropped shoulder and a crew neckline, although version C has a hood and this sort of crossover front and kangaroo pouch. But this is the version I've made for both my versions. It's got some really interesting details, including these sleeve darts, which I really like. And then it's got this sort of slightly wraparound diagonal seam at the front. So another really nice detail, and it's got a yoke at the back. And again, like the Plateau Joggers, it comes in a really good size range. I've got the paper pattern, which is 0 to 20. There's also a 14 to 32 range available in PDF if you go on Closet Core's website. Yeah, I was really keen to make another one because I've got loads of use out of my first one. So I made my second one in another Mind the Maker fleece back sweatshirt. I used the matching ribbing for the neckline and also for the cuffs. Again, it's super cozy and snuggly for a grey, cold day like today. And in terms of sizing for this one, I made the size 0, as with my first one. That is a size down from my measurements, or it's 1 size down the bust, 2 sizes down the waist, and 3 sizes down the hips. But it really is on the oversized size when you look at the finished garment measurements, so I knew there'd be plenty of room. And it's, yeah, still a nice, slightly relaxed fit, even having sized down. And I have made a couple of adjustments. I've lengthened the sleeves by 1 inch, which is kind of a standard adjustment I make on a lot of patterns. I've also lengthened the body by 3 inches, which seemed like a lot on my first version. I wasn't sure how it would work out, but I'm glad I did actually. I'll stand up so you can see just where it sits on me. As you can see, even with lengthening the body by 3 inches, it doesn't come down super long. It's a really nice make. You can see here, let's hold you, the interesting sleeve dart detail. I went for ribbing on the cuffs and the neckband, but I went for the fleece back fabric for the bottom band because I thought it would hold the structure and show the nice detail of the side seams better. I'll stand up so you can see. It's a really fun make. There's some opportunity for top stitching too. I've top stitched these style lines at the side. And I've also top stitched the yoke at the back down too. And it's just a really nice, cozy, snuggly, relaxed sweatshirt. And I really like this colour. I think it's called Sage Green. So I've kind of gone for pastels on my Marlene sweatshirts. So yeah, that's quite a fun make. Oh, and I'll put a picture up of me wearing it so you can see how it looks on. I've just got it on with a pair of ready-to-wear jeans today. So my Marlene sweatshirt is my final garment I sewed in February that I've got to share with you. But I've also got a couple of other items to share with you. I've got one other sewing make that is not a garment. And I've also got a knitting project that I finished in February I'm going to share too. But I'll start with the sewing make. And in February, I decided to try my hand at making some bunting. I never made bunting before, but it was my daughter's birthday in February, and she's not a big fan of balloons. She doesn't like the noise if they bang or pop. But I wanted to decorate the house a little bit and make it feel a bit special for her. So I decided to give some bunting a go, and I never sewed it before, but actually it was really simple, and it was quite a fun and quite a speedy, satisfying project. I wanted to be able to use some fabric I already had rather than buying some new fabric if possible. And I had a little look in our airing cupboard and I discovered that I'd kept from a while back her old cot bed duvet cover and pillowcase cover too. And it was quite a pretty fabric that I'd really liked at the time, but obviously she's outgrown her cot bed now and she's in a big bed, so she's got a new duvet set. But it's made out of cotton. I thought it would make perfect bunting, and here it is. It's really pretty pink fabric with these roses on. And the bunting sewed up really nicely. I had a little read up on the internet about how you make it, and then I drafted my own sort of pattern piece for the triangle. And I just bought from Amazon some double fold bias tape to finish it at the top. So yeah, it came together really nicely. It was quite a satisfying project, lots of straight lines and lots of top stitching of the bias binding. So yeah, quite a satisfying project. And I made 2 strings. Here's one string of it, and one string still actually up in our house. I just had to get this one down so I could show you. But it's a really nice speedy project, and I really like the idea of making some more to decorate the garden in summer, so I'll have to have a think about what fabric I've got that I could use for that. But yeah, I'll link the double fold bias tape I've got. It worked really well. It's quite nice and sort of got a bit of stiffness to it, so it holds the bunting quite nicely. But yeah, it was a really fun little project, and my daughter noticed it and she was pleased with it on her birthday, so I'm glad I made that. And it was really nice to be able to repurpose the old cot bed, duvet cover and pillowcase too. There was plenty of fabric there for me to be able to make a couple of strings of bunting, so that was really good. So my final make I've got to share with you for February, like I mentioned before, is a knitting make I finished this month. And it is a knitted hat that I made using some leftover yarn from my stash. And recently I've been trying to go through my fabric remnants and use some of them up, and also my yarn remnants. And when I was looking through my yarn stash, I found I had a whole ball left of the Meriwool, which is a really lovely merino wool that is by We Are Knitters. And I originally used this wool to knit a cardigan, a We Are Knitters cardigan, which is the Hackney cardigan, which is a really nice cardigan that's knitted in moss stitch. But when I'd made my version, I cropped it slightly, so I'd ended up with a whole ball left of the Meriwool. And it was in such a pretty colour, I'll show you, and it's such lovely, soft, squishy wool. I really wanted to be able to do something with it. And then by total coincidence, I got an email from We Are Knitters, and they were having a sale on their PDF patterns. And I found a pattern that just required one ball of the Meriwool, so I thought it must be meant to be. And it was for a hat, and it's this hat pattern here, the Briol beanie. And yeah, I thought it was just perfect because it used one ball of the Meriwool. And they don't really have a great line drawing in this pattern to show you what the beanie looks like, so I'll just show you my version. So here is my version of the Briol beanie, and as you can see, it's a really nice hat with this really pretty detail of this cable stitch that sort of twists around the hat. So it's quite a lot of fun to knit because I do love knitting cable stitch. So this is my Briol beanie, and the shade of yarn I use, this is their navy blue Meriwool. But it's not actually a navy blue, I'd say. It's more of a sort of somewhere between a navy and a royal blue. But it's a really pretty colour. It's lovely and thick and cosy, so this hat is definitely going to keep me warm on colder days. It's a fun knit. The one thing about this hat, which is different to quite a lot of hats I've knitted, is it's not knitted in the round, it's actually knitted on the flat, and then you sew up the seam at the back, which is fine. I just had to make sure I kind of sort of matched up the little twisted yarns going round. But yeah, it's a really fun knit. The one thing I found was that it's knitted on, I think it's 5mm needles, and I couldn't quite achieve the tension per the pattern using the 5mm needle, so I decided to add a few extra stitches along the end of my row just to make sure it would be it wouldn't come up too tight on my head. I started off, realised it was going to be too tight, had to sort of bring it back and add a few more stitches, but I'm really pleased with how it's turned out now. I'll put it on so you can see. I think the fit is nice, it's really comfy and cosy, and yeah, it's just a really lovely soft wool to have on your head, keeping you warm. In terms of the pom-pom, I had got this pom-pom from an Etsy seller. They're called Crafty Friends, and I'll link them down below. I've bought a few pom-poms from it. It's a faux fur pom-pom, and they have them in all different sorts of colours. I actually had this one left over again in my stash because for another project I bought 2 different sizes, and I chose to use the other size on my other hat, but I knew I'd use this one on a hat at some point, so it was nice to have it in my stock, and I think it goes quite well with the blue wool. But it's a really fun project. I do love a bit of cable in it, like I mentioned, and I'm really happy with how my hat turned out. So my Briol beanie is my final make I've got to share with you for February, and it was really nice to be able to do some yarn stash busting this month, as well as some fabric stash busting too, with the bunting and also with my Astaire tee. So thank you so much for listening to me talk about all my February makes. It's been really nice to chat about them all with you. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love it if you give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel and you're interested in hearing more about my sewing journey, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, and then also if you click the bell icon, that means you'll be notified when my future videos come out. I usually try to do a weekend video on a Saturday morning and also a midweek sewing chatty video where I talk about what I'm up to, sewing wise. So thanks again for watching, I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you again soon. Bye!